A walk along Tuckerman Lane. So here we are approaching Westlake intersection. You can see the shoulder here narrows quite a bit. In fact, the width of the shoulder here from the curb to the white line is approximately 5 feet. Despite the fact that the Federal Highway Administration recommends for roads of this class to have sidewalks, side paths, or shoulders at least 6 feet wide. And the shoulder on the opposite side of the road here is even more narrow and death-defying. Now, what is significant about this intersection is that there is absolutely no pedestrian accommodations. Despite the fact that there is a residential zone about 100 yards in front of us, a park to our right, and retail stores behind us about 200 yards. There is no walking buttons here, nor on the other side. And notice that there are also no crosswalks. That light looks yellow, but in fact it's red. Thankfully the traffic is very mild right now. There's just no protocol for pedestrians to notify traffic of when you need to go, and there's practically no way for you to figure when to go. There's a green arrow for the right turn, so I'm still waiting. That has cleared. That car almost ran over me. As I began walking forward, practically ran over my foot, because there's no way for them to know. And the no walking button there again. And here we return once again to the narrow shoulder below the minimum federal recommendations for road safety. As you can imagine, walking along Tuckerman Lane here is rather uncomfortable, even for those of us who are physically fit and capable. But can you imagine having to walk along here if you are an elderly person, wheelchair bound, or kids walking along here? And you'll notice to the right, in fact along the entire stretch that we've walked, there really isn't any alternative route in case like you saw a car careening off the road toward you. And what we see before us here is the 270 overpass of Tuckerman Lane, and immediately on the other side of it there is a residential zone. And on the opposite side of the road here, the shoulder is even worse. I measured that the most narrow point is in fact under 2.5 feet. Completely impassable to a person in a wheelchair. Not even safe for bicycles. Here we are approaching the I-270 overpass of Tuckerman Lane. To the right of those columns, just in front of us, is a space sufficient to accommodate an underpass walkway, which I have measured by contrasting this overpass to an existing underpass walkway along West Diamond Avenue to the north. Walking along here is obviously quite dangerous, and anyone who lives in the residential zone before us who wants to walk to the park or to the Cabin John Mall and shopping center behind us is forced to walk through this extremely dangerous passage. And one of the features is that it's so dark in there, the likelihood of being seen is very low. And that bus there just passed my left shoulder by about 2 feet. Quite nerve-wracking. Here we are looking back into the underpass that we just came through at the shoulder space we just traversed. And what's interesting to notice is how many times vehicles pass over the white line into the narrow pedestrian space. And every time I have walked under this bridge, I have seen other pedestrians along this shoulder on Tuckerman In fact, on the day that I took these pictures, I saw a group of students coming right around the bend, and given their location, they almost certainly had to have passed under this overpass. As you see in the photograph there, the overpass is right around the bend behind them. And so every day pedestrians are compelled to traverse this extremely dangerous portion of Tuckerman Lane. And this is the space right here in which a underpass walkway could be installed. And in fact, I measured this relative to the West Diamond Avenue underpass, which also underpasses 270. And here we see that it's a quite successful and a safe passage. The sloped wall is slightly cut back to accommodate the passage, but that is not what we have at Tuckerman. Instead, this is what we have. Just as residents of Gaithersburg are ensured safe passage along the I-270 underpass walkway there, residents of North Bethesda should be ensured safe passage along Tuckerman Lane's I-270 underpass, so that they may walk safely to the Cabin John Park, Montgomery Mall, and the Cabin John Shopping Center and Mall, without having to pass through this veritable death trap.